Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at cybersecurity and using a podcast episode called Protecting Your Devices. Sounds good. It's from this YouTube channel called Learn English with AI.
Okay.
It's part of their Cybersecurity Simplified series. And I know what you're thinking. English learning, what's that got to do with me?
Right.
But trust me, this episode has some really great information for anyone who uses, a computer or a smartphone.
Right.
So let's get started.
Yeah, the principles of cybersecurity are pretty much universal. And something like antivirus software might seem pretty basic.
Right.
But it's really worth looking into like how it actually protects us.
Okay.
And why choosing the right one is so important.
Yeah. So let's unpack that a little bit.
Okay.
What's the big deal about antivirus software? Besides, stopping viruses, is there more to it than that?
Yeah, there's definitely more to it. A basic virus might just slow your computer down.
Right.
Which is annoying.
Yeah.
But you also have things like ransomware.
Oh.
Which can lock up your whole system.
Oh, wow.
Until you pay like a big fee for spyware that can be stealing your passwords and credit card details.
Oh, gosh.
Like all in the background.
Wow, that's scary.
And antivirus helps to fight all that stuff.
So it's like having a digital burglar in your house.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we make sure we're picking the right antivirus software? Is there a secret formula or something?
No secret formula. But there are definitely things you should think about, like the source mentions sticking to trusted brands.
Okay.
Which makes sense. Like,
yeah.
You wouldn't buy a car from a company you've never heard of.
True, true. But there are tons of well-known antivirus brands out there.
Right.
What makes some better than others?
That's where things get interesting. Some antivirus software uses really basic methods.
Okay.
Like just comparing files against a list of known viruses.
Uh-huh.
But others use much more advanced techniques.
Okay.
Like sandboxing. Yeah, basically they run suspicious files
in
a safe environment first to see what they do before they can cause any trouble.
So like a digital quarantine.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's not just about detecting known threats. It's about predicting and preventing new ones too.
Got it.
And some programs go even further with behavioral analysis.
Okay.
So they monitor how programs are actually acting on your system. And if something starts doing things that it shouldn't be doing,
right,
the antivirus steps in and blocks it.
That's fascinating. So there are like different levels of protection out there. I guess that's why some antivirus programs are free.
Right.
And some you have to pay for.
Absolutely.
And, we can't forget about keeping your antivirus up to date.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Because new threats are popping up all the time.
All the time. It's basically patching up holes in your armor.
It's a constant arms race.
Yeah.
Between the good guys and the bad guys. But wait a second, isn't there something called a zero-day exploit? I've heard that even the best antivirus can't always stop those. What is that all about?
Great question. Zero-day exploits are vulnerabilities that are brand new.
Okay.
Which means that even the antivirus companies don't know about them yet.
Yeah.
It's like hackers have found like a secret backdoor to your system.
That sounds pretty terrifying. So what can we do to protect ourselves against those?
That's where having multiple layers of security comes in.
Okay.
It's not just about antivirus.
Right.
Strong passwords, for example, can make a huge difference. And being aware of phishing scams.
Okay.
Where hackers try to trick you.
Yeah.
Into giving away your information. That's really important.
Right. So it's like having a security system for your house.
Yeah.
You want to have multiple layers of protection.
Exactly.
Strong locks, an alarm system, maybe even a guard dog for those, really determined intruders.
Right.
So strong passwords, phishing awareness, those are like our digital alarm system and our guard dog.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't leave your front door unlocked. So you shouldn't leave your digital doors unlocked either.
Okay, so we've got our digital doors and windows secured, but what about all the stuff we're bringing into our digital homes?
Oh, yeah.
All the files that we download from the internet?
Yeah.
That feels like a whole other can of worms.
You're telling me. We download files all the time.
Right.
Whether it's games, apps, music, even just documents. But how do we know what's safe and what's not?
That's a really good question, especially since it seems like you can download anything these days. I mean, I'm not a tech expert, so how am I supposed to spot those dangerous files that might be in my downloads?
Well, you don't need a degree in computer science to stay safe.
Okay.
The source highlights some really simple but effective tips for navigating what they call the download danger zone. But honestly, it's just about being aware. and using common sense.
Okay, so common sense cybersecurity. I like the sound of that. What are those tips? Let's hear them.
First off, let's talk about where you're downloading from.
Okay.
Sticking to trusted websites is key.
Official app stores, like Google Play or Apple's App Store, much safer than just grabbing a file from some random website.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But why are those official app stores safer? Don't they just have like every app under the sun?
Well, they do have a huge selection.
Yeah.
But they also have all sorts of security measures in place. For one thing, they vet the developers and the apps themselves.
Okay.
They check the code, make sure it's not doing anything shady.
Uh-huh.
Plus, they have user review systems, so if an app is malicious, other users can flag it.
So it's like a combination of quality control and crowdsourced security.
Exactly.
That's pretty clever. But what about those times when you can't find what you need in an app store?
Right.
Like maybe you're looking for a very specific piece of software or like a free version of something?
Yeah, that's where things get a little trickier. If you are downloading from a less established site,
Okay.
pay attention to file size.
File size.
Yeah, if it's suspiciously small or way larger than you'd expect, that's a red flag. Oh, interesting. So like if I'm downloading a full-featured video game and the file is only like a few megabytes, that's a sign something's wrong.
Exactly.
Okay.
And on the flip side, if a simple text document is suddenly like a gigabyte in size, that's also cause for concern. It might be hiding something nasty inside.
All right, so file size matters. What else should we be looking out for?
Well, this one might seem obvious.
Yeah.
But pay attention to warnings from your browser or antivirus software.
Right.
They're there for a reason.
I have to admit, sometimes I just click through those warnings without really thinking. Is that bad?
It's definitely not the best practice.
Okay.
Those warnings are like those flashing red lights on your car's dashboard trying to tell you something's wrong.
Yeah.
It's always better to investigate.
Right.
And make sure everything's okay before proceeding.
Okay. Point taken. No more ignoring those digital alarm bells.
Good.
But what about update messages?
Oh, yeah.
Those pop up all the time. How do we know if those are legit?
That's a great question. Because hackers have gotten really sneaky with fake update messages.
Really?
They might look completely official, but they're actually trying to trick you into downloading malware.
Ugh, it's like they're playing a digital game of disguise.
Yeah.
So how do we avoid falling for these traps?
The key is to never blindly click
on
an update pop-up.
Right.
Instead, go directly to the official website for the software that you're using and check for updates there.
So, for example, if I get a pop-up saying my antivirus needs an update, I should ignore it and go to the antivirus company's website.
Exactly. That way you can be sure you're getting the real update.
Okay.
And not some malicious imposter.
Got it.
Speaking of imposters, let's talk about passwords for a minute.
Oh, passwords. My nemesis. I'm terrible at remembering them, but I know they're important.
They're super important.
So what's the best strategy for creating and managing passwords? Is there like a magic formula or something?
No magic formula. But there are definitely best practices.
Okay.
First off, using the same password for multiple accounts is a big no-no.
I know. It's just so convenient, but why is that such a bad idea?
Think of it this way. If a hacker gets hold of one of your passwords, they suddenly have access to everything. It's like giving them a master key to your digital kingdom.
Okay, that's a pretty convincing argument against password reuse. But then how are we supposed to remember all these different passwords? My brain is already overloaded.
That's where password managers come in.
Password managers?
Yeah, they're like digital vaults that store all your passwords securely.
Okay.
You only need to remember one master password to unlock the vault.
That sounds like a lifesaver. But are password managers really safe? Isn't it risky to put all your eggs in one basket?
Reputable password managers use very strong encryption to protect your data.
Okay.
It's much safer than writing your passwords on sticky notes.
Right.
Or keeping them in a text file on your computer.
Okay, that makes sense. So password managers, good idea.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to know about passwords?
Well, creating strong passwords is essential.
Okay.
That means using a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols, and try to make them at least 12 characters long.
My brain hurts just thinking about it. But I guess it's worth the effort if it means keeping my digital life secure.
Exactly.
Okay, so strong, unique passwords for every account.
Yes.
And a password manager to keep track of it all. Got it. What else is on the cybersecurity checklist?
Let's talk about phishing scams.
Okay.
This is where hackers try to trick you. into giving them your personal information by posing as a legitimate website or email.
Oh, yeah, phishing scams. I get those emails all the time. You won the lottery.
Right.
Or your bank account needs urgent attention. They're usually pretty obvious, though, right?
Some are obvious, but hackers are getting more and more sophisticated these days.
Oh, no.
They might spoof a website,
Yeah.
so it looks exactly like the real thing. Or they might send you a very convincing email that looks like it's from someone you know.
So how do we avoid taking the bait? What are the telltale signs of a phishing scam?
Look for things like misspelled words,
Okay.
grammatical errors, and suspicious links.
Okay.
Never click on a link in an email unless you're absolutely sure it's legitimate.
Right.
If you're ever unsure.
Yeah.
It's best to contact the organization directly through their official website or phone number.
Good advice. It's like the old saying, trust but verify.
Yeah.
But sometimes, even with the best precautions, things can still go wrong.
Yeah.
What happens if, despite our best efforts, we actually fall victim to a cyber attack? What should we do?
That's a great question, and one that often gets overlooked. First and foremost, don't panic.
Okay, no panicking. What are the first steps we should take?
If you think your passwords have been compromised, change them immediately.
Okay.
And if you've used the same password for multiple accounts, change those too. Then scan your computer with your antivirus software to see if any malware has been installed.
And if we find malware, what then?
Your antivirus software should be able to remove it. If not, you might need to seek help from a professional.
Okay.
You can also report the incident to the appropriate authorities, like the Internet Crime Complaint Center or IC3.
That makes sense. It's like calling the police after a burglary.
Exactly.
Okay, so change passwords, run a scan,
Oh.
and report the incident. Anything else we should do?
It's also a good idea to check your bank accounts and credit card statements for any suspicious activity.
Right, because if hackers have gotten our financial information, they could be trying to make unauthorized purchases.
Exactly. Better to be safe than sorry.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Antivirus software, safe downloading practices, strong passwords, phishing awareness, and even what to do if things go wrong. It's a lot to take in. But I feel like I'm starting to get a better grasp on this whole cybersecurity landscape.
That's great to hear. Remember, it's all about being proactive
and
taking small steps to protect yourself.
And speaking of small steps, the source had this interesting idea of challenging listeners to make one small change to improve their cybersecurity. What do you think about that?
I think it's a brilliant idea. It doesn't have to be anything drastic.
Right.
It could be as simple as enabling two-factor authentication on your email account.
Okay.
Or finally setting up that password manager that you've been meaning to try.
Yeah, or maybe just taking a few minutes to review your privacy settings on social media. Small changes can make a big difference over time.
Absolutely.
So for our listener out there, what's one small step you can take today to strengthen your digital defenses? Think about it.
It really all comes down to taking ownership
of
your digital security.
It's like we've been saying this whole time, right? Knowledge is power.
Exactly. The more you understand about the threats out there and the tools that you can use to protect yourself, the better prepared you'll be to navigate this whole digital world safely.
It's not about being scared or anything or becoming like a tech expert all of a sudden. It's just about being aware, making good choices, and just incorporating, you know, good cybersecurity habits into your life.
Yeah, just make it a part of your everyday routine.
This deep dive has been a really great reminder that cybersecurity is an ongoing journey.
It is.
Not a destination.
Yeah, it's not like you just arrive and you're done.
You're never really done.
Yeah.
It's a constant process, and it's something that we're all in together, right?
We are all in this together.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of cybersecurity, I want to leave you with this thought.
Right, shoot.
What will be your next step in fortifying your digital defenses?
That's a good question.
It's something to think about.
It is?
Maybe it's finally turning on that two-factor authentication or having a conversation with your family about online safety.
Yeah, those are all great ideas.
Every step you take, no matter how small it is, brings you closer to a more secure digital life.
So true.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into cybersecurity. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe out there.